When I returned to England, I worked in a very old-fashioned office with the comptometer for a while, and then my next job was with the Milk Marketing Board. And again, I was working in comptometer until we progressed to an electronic calculator, which that was state of the art then. And around this time, our money system was being converted to the metric system, which meant that for a couple of months, every invoice had a metric total and a sterling total in order to familiarize people with the new money. And then came the day when there was a talk of computerization, and a special dustproof room was fitted out in order to store the huge discs and the printer. And it had to be dustproof, and I don't know about soundproof, but it was certainly had to be dustproof, and the temperature had to be kept at the same all the time. So at that time, many of the older people were thinking that they didn't like the new technology. They were either against it or afraid of it, and they thought, well, I won't do this. I will learn it, and then if I don't like it, I shall leave. So I kept on, but for quite a while I was kept out of the actual computerization because I was required to run the manual payroll for about 6 weeks, keep on as normal, and they were running it on the computer in order to shadow the manual to make sure that the figures were correct. Well, there was a young man sent from head office, and he was rather full of himself, and he was making it quite evident that probably I was too old to do all this. And he wasn't rude about it, but that was the inference then, that older people weren't going to do this. So I kept on doing the manual figures, and then came the 6 weeks and it still wasn't running properly. They would be out every week. And one week I heard him say, by what amount we were out. And I thought, I know what that is. And it was a sort of elementary mistake to someone who knew about payroll. But you see, this is what I'm trying to say, is that if people didn't know what they were actually doing, it didn't matter how clever they were on the computer. Well, it's the same now, that it just wouldn't work. So I couldn't resist saying, because I'd been made to feel sort of redundant for 6 weeks, I couldn't help saying, oh, well, I think I heard you say this figure. Now, it couldn't have been that figure, because you couldn't have made that mistake. That was such an elementary mistake, and I saw his jaw dropping. And anyway, he rectified the mistake, but it just proved to me that, well, they used to say rubbish in, rubbish out. And I think that's quite true.